honor of Curling Day in Canada, let's look at a brief history of curling. Curling's origin is unclear, but it is said to be one of the world's oldest team sports. The first record of it is around 16th century Scotland. It was later brought over to Canada by Scottish settlers, where they shared the winter sport to get through the long winters. The first curling club in Canada was the Montreal Curling Club, established in 1807. Due to the creation of the CPR, curling came to Saskatchewan in 1879, specifically in Prince Albert, Rosthern, and Battleford. In the 1700s, curlers simply pushed their stones down the ice, no turn. However, it was discovered that placing a turn on the rock allowed for maneuvers behind other rocks. This caused an uproar, and some called for turns to be an illegal play. However, as we know today, it is not illegal, but in fact, highly encouraged. The idea of placing turns came to Canada in around 1840. The game has developed so much over the years, like the progression of the use of brooms. The first brooms were straw brooms or corn brooms that looked like household brooms. This was the first intro of brooms into the game. However, they left as much debris as they cleaned off the ice. So the rink rat was introduced. On the screen, this is called a cattail, and the difference between a cattail and a rink rat is that the rink rat had 3 fingers. The broom is covered in cotton, and inside is a flexible plastic and foam. This was used until the creation of hair brooms in the late 60s. After this, synthetic brooms followed, like the ones we see today, and are the popular choice as they last longer and they don't shed. Today, there are many controversies and experiments and restrictions around brooms in competitive curling surrounding this piece of equipment. Curling games in the early days were held outside on natural ice, usually ponds, but today, the sport is hosted inside on artificial ice. The rocks used when the game was first invented were various shapes and sizes. Not all curlers could get their hands on granite for stones, so they became creative in the materials they used to make their rocks. For example, jam cans were popular, filled with cement and a handle in the middle. Some were even used sand or water and then froze them overnight. These were also great for kids as they were a little bit smaller. These were the grandparents for our rock designs today. Today's rocks are made of granite with a striking band for hitting and a running surface on the bottom. It is complete with a colored plastic handle that indicates the team's rocks. However, when curling came to Canada, they used what materials were available to them, like iron or wood or jam cans. Curlers would then take their own 2 rocks to the games. But don't worry, they are provided for you today. The game rules have also evolved and continue to, most notably the free guard zone, which was implemented in 1991. Fun fact, the term hogline comes from the Scottish slang for weak lambs, as the rock that, despite our best efforts, does not make it into play is like the weak lamb and is considered a hogged rock. The first men's national championship took place in Toronto in 1927. That year, the games were 14 ends, where Nova Scotia ended up winning the event. The Brier has had many title sponsors. The champion goes on to represent Canada at Men's Worlds. Saskatchewan has won 7 Briers. They won in 1955 with Garnet Campbell, 1959, 1960, 1962, and 1963 with Ernie Richardson, 1973 with Harvey Mazinke, and 1980 with Rick Folk. The first official women's national championship took place in 1961. While we know this competition as the Scotties, the Bonspiel was referred to as the Lassie while sponsored by McDonald Tobacco from 1972 to 1979. It wasn't until 1982 when the 4 heart symbol and current name came into being when Scott Paper, now known as Kruger Products, sponsored the event, and has ever since. This makes it the longest-running sponsored national sports event in Canada. Saskatchewan has won the event 11 times, including the first one in 1961, where the team was led by Joyce McKee, and again in 1969. They also won in 1970, notably with Vera Pezer in 1971, 1972, and 1973, where she won 3 back-to-back championships. Again in 1974 with a different team, 1980, 1993 with Sandra Schmirler, named the best female curler in the world in 1998 and won the first ever Olympic gold medal in the sport. She also won again as Team Canada in 1994 and 1997. Our last time that we won a Scotties championship was in 2011 with Amber Holland. In Whitewood, the curling rink has been serving young and old since the late 1800s. Initial calls for the rink came in 1895. The exact date of the first rink in Whitewood is not stated in the history book, but it can be narrowed down between sometime in 1895 and 1900 because the history book does mention a cyclone that destroyed the rink in August of that year. Of course, the building has come and gone throughout the years, most recently the fire in '99 that destroyed the skating and curling arenas. However, the community rallied together and a new rink was built that following year, and it is still used today. Today, our rink hosts multiple different programs for multiple different curlers, including a youth curling program where they can come and get coached and really develop those basic skills for curling. There's also a social league where there is regular style of curling where it's a fun time to just come, get some exercise, and hang out with your friends. They also have the Skins League, which is a slightly different version of playing the game. And there's also the Rec League, Tuesday and Thursday afternoons, where there's coffee and snacks after. In the past, the club has also held a doubles league. The club also supports the school curling program, in where they have held grades 3 to 6 programs before, as well as they support the high school curling teams in their practice, as well as supporting them as they go off to districts, regionals, and some teams even making it to provincials. The club puts on multiple bonspiels throughout the year. They've been known to put on youth bonspiels, as well as senior and social spiels. The ladies' bonspiel has been a popular hit where they raise money for breast cancer. And of course, Farmers and Friends Bonspiel, which has grown to become a 64-team bonspiel. This is the largest bonspiel under one roof in Saskatchewan. Each year, the event raises a lot of money, and that money actually goes back into the community. And I know here at the Whitewood Historical Museum, we are very thankful for the work that they do as they have supported us in some of our projects here. So how will you spend your curling day in Canada? You've made it a great start if you've been watching this video. But maybe you'll also go and learn how you can join a league or learn how you can curl. You might also watch curling on TV. Currently, the Scotties is on. Thank you so much for joining us on learning a little bit more about curling. And as always, be sure to check out the Whitewood Historical Museum.